Hey, this is Wolfman Jack coming up on the Midnight Special. Bay City Rollers, Andy Gibb, and the comedy of Steve Martin. All this and more on Burt Sugarman's Midnight Special. Guys, what's going on? Welcome to Serial and Midnight. My name is Heath, and in this video, we are going to talk about Burt Sugarman's The Midnight Special. Now, for those of you who don't know, The Midnight Special was a very cool, very cutting-edge show. It aired between 1973 and 1981. It came on in the wee early hours of the morning after midnight, 1 a.m. to 2:30 in the morning in some markets. And it was produced by a man named Burt Sugarman, who was a producer and he had a lot of musical connections, came from TV broadcasting, and he saw this untapped market on television because back in those days, we're talking pre-cable. The channels would just cease broadcasting at around midnight. They'd cut to an American flag. You know, they'd play like the Star Spangled Banner or something, and then boo, and they'd just go to like an American flag or something like that. And they would resume the next morning, but Sugarman saw this need for serving the youth market, so he put together this show, The Midnight Special, and what it did is it brought live musical performances from the coolest bands, performing artists in the world into the homes of young people. So you're at home, it's 1 a.m. in the morning, you're 19 years old, you click on the TV, and you've got a concert experience in your house. And what was special about The Midnight Special is that the performances were all done live. Well, for most of the years that The Midnight Special was active, I think by the end of the show, it was kind of coasting. But before that, see, in the other shows like what we're talking about, it was all lip-synced performances. They'd be bands would be performing. This is performing. Bands would be performing. Bands would be performing to their record or to an audio track, a sync track. They were not performing it live. So Burt Sugarman, with his connections, is like, we're going to mic you, we're going to have you perform in front of a live studio audience, and that's what we're going to broadcast out. And so it was revolutionary because it was the concert experience. It was a live show experience in your house. And so, of course, it was revolutionary. And we kind of see this everywhere now. You know, like in the US, we can turn on The Tonight Show and see somebody performing live. But it really kind of goes back to Burt Sugarman's vision that it should not be, a synced track. It should be live. It should be performed because what happens during a live performance cannot be replicated. It's special. It's visceral. And the audience and the performer feed off of each other. And so The Midnight Special is a legendary show. Hundreds and hundreds of musical performances over the years. And it was hosted is not the right word. It was narrated by Wolfman Jack, he's the iconic radio DJ. You guys, he's in American Graffiti. He's the guy that talked like this. And he was a famous voice, still maybe one of the most famous voices in all of radio broadcasting, a legend, Wolfman Jack, rock and roll radio voice. And he brought like a legitimacy. He brought that rock and roll rebel spirit to The Midnight Special. So for all those reasons, of course, I am interested in The Midnight Special. And a few months ago, I was lucky enough to find this. This is a box set of The Midnight Special. And we're going to get more into this in a minute. But what I find interesting is that because of home media distribution and the way that these things go, music rights, you guys know all about music rights. Companies will change music in a show when they put a series out on DVD because they couldn't get the rights or it was too expensive. So there are a lot of performances from The Midnight Special that we're probably never going to see. Some things are on YouTube, but the sources are usually not very good. And this set comes from Time Life. And if anybody has the big power, the heavy, well, I don't want to say the heavy hand, but you guys know if anybody has the influence to get music license, it is Time Life. They're the people they're behind so many sets. The Dean Martin set. You guys, we have a video about the Dean Martin variety show on this channel. And because I went through I'm still going through it, but I had this huge obsession with Dean Martin variety show. It was a not a syndicated. It was a classic television show with lots of kind of a similar thing, but for a 60s and 70s market. Lots of variety acts coming in, performing live. And that kind of the music rights made that very difficult. But Time Life put out the best set that there is of that because they were able to, like, hey, we're Time Life, let's make a deal. And people are like, well, if you're Time Life, okay. But then there's still a ton of stuff that I wish was on here that's not. But instead of that, let's celebrate what actually is on here. So I want to go with you guys through this. These are some of the performing artists that are on this set. When I bought this, it was not in print. I could not find it anywhere, and I eventually found, like, I heard about it somewhere. I don't remember where I heard about it, but I was like, Midnight Special DVD, and I started looking around for it. I finally found a copy used on eBay for a great price. It wasn't on Amazon. It wasn't at, like, BestBuy.com. It wasn't a deep discount. Like, all my outlets for where I go to look for these things, it wasn't anywhere. It was out of print. It was going for a lot of money. Now, I look today as I'm recording this video, and Amazon has, like, 15 copies of this available brand new. It's like $54.99 as I'm recording this video. So I'm like, I thought it was out of print. I was going to tell you guys it's out of print, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it was just in between batches, manufacturing batches. But you pull the slipcase out. This is what it is. Each of these is, I think each of these is available separately, but I do think that there's maybe one package here that is not available separately. But you buy the box set. You also get this cool booklet, which has a history of the Midnight Special, full color illustrated booklet, and it talks about the recording artists who came through there. Blondie. The music, this is the thing, the music in this is amazing. And though I don't necessarily love every single performance, I'm thinking particularly, should I tell you, Neil Sedaka. I don't know how he ended up on the Midnight Special. He seems a little bit too square for the Midnight Special, but most of the performances are amazing. So I don't know that we should get into all of them. There's like well over 100 performances on here, but this is I'm going to call this the primary set. This is the 6-disc set that serves as like our volume 1. So there's 6 DVDs here, and appearances can be deceiving, because one of the things that I have to tell you guys is that each one of these DVDs runs between an hour and an hour and a half. And you guys know that's kind of sneaky, right? Because this really could have been half. It could have been a 3-disc set. But they're like, oh, it's 6 discs. Well, it's because they're only like an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half. But it comes with a booklet. I'm going to tell you guys, we're just going to kind of skim through here, and I'll tell you kind of what we're dealing with. John Denver, Linda Ronstadt, Argent, Crystal Gale, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers performing American Girl. Chuck Mangione performing Feel So Good. Of course, that's fantastic. Another Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Mac Davis, the Doobie Brothers. The Doobie Brothers were amazing. They did Jesus Is Just Alright. Listen to the music. Peter Frampton doing Show Me the Way. Now, Peter Frampton, like Frampton Comes Alive, has kind of become a joke. I know the first time I saw the joke was in Wayne's World, where he's like, they sent copies of Frampton Comes Alive, came with samples of Tide in the mail. Like, that album is everywhere. I actually don't own Frampton Comes Alive. I'll have to do something about that. But this is early, I think it's pre-Frampton Comes Alive. And one of the cool things about this set is that they have interviews with some of these people now. Or I guess it was a few, maybe 10 years ago when they first started putting this set together, talking about their time on the Midnight Special. So they talked to Frampton about, he's like, yeah, we were working out some of those songs. And I remember I had this one song that was a single, and Burt Sugarman was like, well, okay, we'll play that song. And I was like, but we also want to play this song. He's like, well, let me hear it. So Burt Sugarman pulls up a chair and sits at the foot of the stage, and they play this song. He's like, that's great. Perform it tonight. And so that's how it happened. It was very, very cool, very organic. Hall & Oates, Sly and the Family Stone, Jim Croce, the Bee Gees, Electric Light Orchestra, Fleetwood Mac. Oh, you guys, Fleetwood Mac is incredible. Alice Cooper doing Inmates Were All Crazy. And the thing about Alice Cooper is he's also one of those people that's on the special features talking now about his time at the Midnight Special and how important it was, and how it was cool because you could turn on the Midnight Special and you could see a variety of acts that would never necessarily be performing together on the same billing, but the Midnight Special allowed this union of, it present things that if you were going to see AC/DC, you might not also be interested in Jim Croce, but if you see them perform on the same show, you might be like, well, you know what, that's not a bad song. I don't know, it's just an example, but that's what Alice Cooper was talking about. Like on his show, he also plays, like he introduces the Cars. So Alice Cooper and the Cars on the same billing. Alice Cooper introducing the Cars. So it's very cool. Todd Rundgren doing Hello, It's Me, which is one of the best Midnight Special performances ever. His get up. He's another guy in the interviews. He tells a story about how He's wearing this like weird peacock eye makeup. It's super glam. I mean, it's straight up like David Bowie glam. And he was talking to his stylist, and he was like, just don't make me look ridiculous. I want to be taken seriously out there. And then he ends up looking like a peacock. But it's one of the most legendary performances. It's fantastic. Who else do we have here? LaBelle, more Electric Light Orchestra, Aerosmith, doing several songs. Chaka Khan, Redbone, doing Come and Get Your Love. If you like Guardians of the Galaxy, you can see that band perform it live on this set. Gordon Lightfoot, Edgar Winter Group, Charlie Rich. I like Charlie Rich. That's a reach for this set, but it's cool. Bonnie Tyler, Aretha Franklin, this is a lot of Neil Sedaka on here. Casey and the Sunshine Band burns the mother down, you guys. They are, it's like, you think a lot of that sound is done in the studio, but when Casey and the Sunshine Band starts to get that doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, it's all live, and it's like, whoa, what a good sound. Ted Nugent, Marvin Gaye, Eddie Rabbitt, Billy Preston. That's just on the first set. So you can kind of see what we're talking about here. Another crime of the music rights issue is that we don't get full shows. It's just kind of a pick and choose of select performances. So we'll jump from 1980 to 1976 to 1979, back to 1973. And so there's no cohesive, no full episodes. And it's the same thing with the Dean Martin variety show sets. No full episodes because you could not clear everything. So I live in hope that one day we will live in a world where some of this stuff won't be as important and we can just have it. But we're not there yet. This is the second volume of the set. It's 2 discs. So if you're following along, that's 8 discs of music. And that's where we leave the music. So this one has Barry Manilow. I don't know. Jim Croce. Elvin Bishop. Fooled Around and Fell in Love. That's a great song. It's a great performance. Rick Dees doing Disco Duck. Now that is presented without comment. Etta James and Dr. John, Linda Ronstadt again, Aretha Franklin, Charlie Daniels Band doing The Devil Went Down to Georgia, The Spinners. This is one of my, I recently did a record video. I went to a record show and I got some Spinners. The Spinners are on here. They have great, great songs. I'll Be Around. That's the Spinner. I can't sing it. Could It Be I'm Falling in Love? That is also the Spinners. Great, great 60s and 70s soul. Heart performs Crazy on You live on the Midnight Special. Dolly Parton performs Jolene. Gloria Gaynor performs I Will Survive for a live audience. Christopher Cross, some yacht rock. You guys, the Midnight Special was incredible. And so the rest of this stuff is, this is the next volume. We're halfway through the set now. This is the comedy stuff. So in addition to musical performances, they'd have comedians on. I'll try to hold this up for you guys. We got Billy Crystal, George Carlin, Freddie Prinze Sr., not Freddie Prinze Jr. That would be weird because I don't know that he was born yet. Flip Wilson, who else? Richard Pryor. Now that's interesting. Joan Rivers, and Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman doing his live thing on the Midnight Special. And it is what you'd expect. Red Fox, and who else? Steve Martin as well. So some of these are hit and miss. Some of them have not aged well. Not that like, oh, I'm offended by that. No, I just mean like some of them just like, they're just not that funny anymore. But for the time of the 70s, you can kind of see, as if nothing else, kind of the history of comedy. And then the rest of this stuff is really, here's 2 more discs of special features. And what the special features are those interviews with the people that they went back and talked to. And if you really start breaking down the running time, it's like a good third of the running time that they're presenting here is interviews and special features instead of musical performances. So while we're looking at I think this is an 11 disc set. Let's see, 6 plus 2. So right, 6 plus 2, that's 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, it's an 11 disc set. I think this might be the one that is exclusive for this box set. Either you could only buy one of the discs of special features on its own, or the only way to get the 2 disc special feature was through the set. I'm not sure. But it says nearly 5 hours of bonus content on 2 DVDs. But what they're not telling you is that most of the bonus content is talking heads. Some of it's interesting. A lot of it is just like, well, it was a very special time to be alive. It was a very special time to be in the music industry. And the Midnight Special was a really great way to feed off an audience and to grow. It's that for 5.5 hours, or however long it said it was. But they talked to the OJs, Charlie Daniels, Todd Rundgren, Neil Sedaka, Christopher Cross, people like that. So this particular volume is far from essential. But one of the things that I wanted to mention is that there's another... So before Time Life got a hold of this, just like with the Dean Martin set, before Time Life comes along, there was a series, like a mail-away subscription service from Guthrie Ranker. That was, like you'd order volume 1 or you get like your introductory volume for $4.95 or something like that. And then volume 1 would be $24.99, and volume 2 would come 6 weeks later for $24.99. And I don't know how many of those there are. I think there's at least 19 of them. But what's interesting is that there are some performances on those Guthrie Ranker mail subscription DVDs that aren't in this set. So I guess, just like with Dean Martin, I'm going to have to start cherry picking some of these other sets as well to see, oh, well, I don't have that one. Because I got to tell you, if you get them for the right price, like some of these discs are, like $5 on eBay or used and things like that. If you can get these things for the right price, these performances are absolutely worth it. Because if you're into this sort of thing, and if you're watching this channel, you are, let's face it, you're into retro stuff and classic music. If you're into that sort of thing, these live performances are very much worth it to track down and to see, because they're special. There's a performance, Dreamweaver. You guys know the song Dreamweaver? Also in Wayne's World. I'm sensing a connection here. Dreamweaver performed live, blows the recorded version out of the water. It's like, you wish that you were in a planetarium and there were lasers and there was like a show going on while Dreamweaver was playing. And it's incredible how they do these things live, the keyboards, and like suddenly you're in space, like suddenly you're in Star Wars as this guy singing about Dreamweaver. And so as a document of like, here's the thing, like so many of these songs we know, like Come and Get Your Love that we talked about being in the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack. Well, that version will live forever because it's on the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack. That movie's going to have a long life in the future because it's a Marvel movie. Marvel movies will outlast us all. But the live performed version of that, arguably better. See, here's the thing. That band was made up of Native Americans, and in the live performance, they do like this whole Native American dance and presentation before they sing the song. So it's like this ceremonial sort of thing. It's Redbone. And it's like this ceremonial sort of thing. And then they perform the song. And it's just like, it's powerful, man. And you don't get that if you just listen to the single version, the recorded track, the single track version from that movie, from Guardians of the Galaxy, or if you picked up the 45 or the album version. There's something about live music that is transcendent to what you can capture on in a recording studio. There's just, live is always more raw. The stuff with Blondie, that's another one that immediately comes to mind. The Blondie performances on this are just smoking hot. And you can tell they're just playing around and having fun. They're trying things. Debbie Harry is just kind of like screaming a little bit. And then they kind of end it, and then she just turns around and she just laughs. Because they're just finding it. They're just doing it, figuring it out as they go. It's very special. So that's just, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Midnight Special. I had first teased this on Instagram. If you guys are on Instagram and you're not following Serial at Midnight, we are at Serial Midnight on Instagram, and we do a lot of things, teasing things that'll be coming to the channel. Like when I first bought this months ago, I posted on Instagram and I said, just need a video. I think this is going to get a video at some point, and I got a lot of support. Please do a video. So if you're not following us on Instagram, things like this show up sometimes months before I actually talk to you about them, because I wanted to go through every performance, every extra, and guess what? Now that I'm finished with it, I'm probably about to start it over again, because it's one of those things you can just have on endlessly, on a loop, never gets old. It's very special. So Burt Sugarman's The Midnight Special, one of the greatest shows to ever grace TV. For my money, that sort of thing. This is TV history. Live rock and roll in your house. Very, very cool. So guys, that's the Midnight Special. That's Serial at Midnight. What do you think about it? Do you have any Midnight Special memories? Please tell me. You have a memory of coming home from being out at a club or something like that, hanging out with your friends, popping on TV and seeing David Bowie perform on the Midnight Special? Tell me something like that. Let's share the experiences in the comments below. Guys, thank you very much. I appreciate you so very much. So take care. And until next time, I will catch you later.